が消えかかるそれがオレンジャー熱い血流れる鋼のマシン
Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 27 of For Your Eyes Ohranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. Every week we watch an episode of the show and we share our thoughts with you, the listener. My name is Matt J. With me as always is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how you doing today, bud?
Doing pretty well, man. I am working out. So I did not have a very trim, healthy day yesterday because I was at 2 graduation parties and then a birthday party.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so lots of celebrations, lots of cake, and you can't... Like, I'm pretty good at avoiding cake in my regular life.
Sure.
But you can't avoid celebration cake.
No, that's just rude.
Like, if somebody... Yeah, that's just rude. So a student showed up a few days ago during finals week. She was a senior. She had already graduated. Like, walked the stage, cap and gown, got her diploma. She was done. She had no reason to come back to the school. She came back to the school with donuts for her teachers to say, like, hey, I wanted to come by and thank you for being such a great teacher.
Oh, how sweet.
And now listen, I know, it was really nice. And, like, man, you gotta eat that donut, right? So I've had a lot of, like, compulsory, non-trim healthy stuff, and, like, I feel fine. Like, I'm feeling it a little bit. Like, I'm used to eating very clean, and now I've just got a bunch of refined white sugar running through these veins.
I had not a similarly cake-filled day yesterday, but a similarly unhealthy day because yesterday was a Spectre recording day, which basically means that the only thing I did all day was watch The Man with the Golden Gun, watch the special features for The Man with the Golden Gun, and then spend 3 hours talking about The Man with the Golden Gun. So I did not have a lot of time to, like, get out of the apartment and go for a nice long walk, which I would have liked to have done.
It was a beautiful day yesterday. It was gorgeous. Weather finally broke. Loved
So
it.
hopefully that'll all be worth it when you hear this podcast about the man with the golden gun. But Dave, that's not the thing we're talking about today. We're here to talk about a different gold thing.
Ooh, nice segue, Matt.
Yeah, it kind of relies on the knowledge that we're talking about the dude who would be called the Gold Ranger in Power Rangers Zeo. But in any case, Dave, it is episode 27 of Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. It is called King's Gallant Debut. But before we get into that, Dave, as always, shining in the heavens, there are 5 stars. What is our first star of the week?
So, first star of the week, Matt. It's our annual spot where you hate on me a little bit because summer vacation has just started.
Oh, yeah. I love hating on you when this happens.
Yeah, so summer vacation has just started. It's very exciting. My summer vacation is already filling up with stuff. Like, people ask, and listen, I don't want to make a ton. Summer vacation is great. Do not get me wrong. But people ask, like, oh man, summer vacation, like, must be great to just chill on the couch for 3 months. No, friend. I spend the first half of summer vacation recovering and, like, catching up on all the stuff that I should have been doing from December until June. And then I spend the second half of summer vacation desperately trying to get ahead of stuff that I would be doing between September and December, so that theoretically at no point in the year am I, like, completely destroyed.
Right. Does your house actually just fall down?
Yeah, so I managed to batten down the hatches for the school year pretty well over the summer. And, like, listen, I do take vacation time, but it's only, like, about a week. It's, like, 2 weeks. I take, like, a week in the beginning and a week at the end to, like, really actually have a vacation. And then the rest of the time, I am doing stuff. And I've got to teach a new class next year.
Oh, so you have to, like, write a whole new class?
Yeah, I'm actually, some other teacher that I'm working with has actually been teaching the course for a few years, and I said, like, listen, whatever you're doing is working really well. Like, I don't see a need to reinvent the wheel. I am just going to straight crib your notes for the whole year, if that's cool with you. And she's like, yeah, that's absolutely cool. Like, why would you reinvent the whole class? And I said, that's what I thought exactly.
Nice.
So, but I do have to do it, which is going to take, like... It's going to take a while. At no point in my career, Matt, have I taught the same classes, the same academic classes. I've taught theater for like 6 years now. But have I taught the same English classes for more than 2 years in a row?
Really? That sucks a lot.
Yeah. it's super, super lame, because after about 2 years is when you start to like get into the groove. You're like, oh, I see kind of like what I had done, and I should have done it like this year. But like you need some, like you need some space to like work through it once or twice with some different kids. And I was really like looking forward to teaching these same classes again next year, and I just are amped. Yep, I'm amped.
Cool.
I'm not. Yeah, I teach English, guys, so that's a fun thing. So, anyways, man, that's first star of the week. Summer vacation has started. What is our second star of the week?
Dave, second star of the week is a brief but notable commute update.
Commute update. So, what's up? Highway Pirates?
No, nothing.
Dr. Bond, what's going on?
Nothing like that. Although this may be a sort of effect of those sorts of characters loose on our streets, Dave, is that I was driving home yesterday. Not yesterday. One of the days last week, and I hit.
It literally couldn't matter less.
No, it was a day. I mean, the only reason I say that it was not yesterday is because I've already established that yesterday was a weekend day where I was not at work. Anyway, that's really irrelevant. The relevant thing is that I was driving down some sort of backstreet shortcuts I normally take to get home from work. And instead of taking a left on a road that I normally take a left on, I had to take a right because right on the street there where I was going to take a left, it was blocked by a car that was just straight up upside down.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Were there any like clues as to why?
Okay, here's the weird thing is that the car was upside down. There was no one in it. There was a cop car parked next to it. But the cop was just like sitting in the car. He wasn't out there directing traffic. His lights weren't on. There was no like traffic backed up in any direction. So it is not as though like it had happened long enough ago that they were trying to like direct a bunch of traffic around it. But it it must have happened like there must have been enough of a gap of time in between it happening and me seeing it where there was no longer like panic of getting people pulled out of cars. And so
were the windows broken? Was there another car? Were there like skid marks? Was there a conspicuous ramp?
The windows were broken. There was no other car. It was just an upside down, kind of messed up car in the middle of the road. And the thing that it really made me think out most was like, oh, this feels like Fallout. Like, just like a random broken upside down car in the middle of the road with no real story and not enough people around for it to be like an event, but still definitely there, and you just can't go down that road and you have to circle all the way down. Like circle all the way around the block. Like that is most of the Fallout experience.
I played the pants out of some Fallout, but that was a really good game. Like I think I kind of by the end of it I had forgotten how good of a game it was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, dude, did you see the trailer for Fallout 76?
Yeah, it's useless. It's like this is a game that will exist.
Sure, a game will exist. It is set in West Virginia and it is a Fallout game. We're telling you literally nothing else.
Yeah, but like E3 is coming up, so I'm sure they're going to drop more information there.
Drop that bomb, which is a good Fallout joke. Dave, what is our third star of the week?
So, I need to talk to you about this encounter I had, Matt.
Okay. I mean, this is the space of the show that we do that.
Yeah. So Beth and I went for a late lunch to our favorite Korean restaurant in Cleveland. It's called Miega. It's really, really good. And it is it's delicious. And it is in the second story of like a large, like converted warehouse space where there's like a bunch of smaller, it's like a tiny mall. Okay. And so we go have lunch, and there was some crazy rain on the east side of Cleveland today. I don't know if it hit the west side.
Yeah,
but
we got it for
really
like 20
intense,
minutes.
like torrential rain. Yeah, exactly. That's about where it was for us. So it had stopped at this point. We're walking out of the restaurant, Beth and I and the twins, and I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, that the twins are black and we're white.
Okay.
So
I mean, I know this, but yes.
I was gonna say I know you know, but like it's only semi-relevant to the story. But so like we're walking out, and this woman, she's like walking in with her husband, and she turns around and she says, can I just ask you a quick question? Which is why it's relevant that the twins are black. Because, like, I'm very accustomed at this point to people saying, like, oh, what's the story there? And in my head, it's always like, you just want to ask. Because this story is only going to be, like, one of two things.
Right. This is not a great mystery for the ages.
Yeah. And to be clear, they are, they do not look biracial. So it is not even a question of, like, oh, are they, like, maybe, like, my bio kids and, like, Beth is with me, or, like, hers and, you know what I mean? Right. Like, from a different relationship. Like, no, they're definitely not ours biologically. So, like, I think you already know what's happening here. But anyways, but she does not ask about that. Like, that's what I'm getting ready to answer. And she says, did it rain really hard here? And I said, yes. And then she starts talking about how hard it rained where she was.
Okay.
Yeah. And then she starts talking about how, like, she and her husband were trying to go to some festival, but, like, it was rained out, and so they couldn't go. And I keep waiting for the fact that it did rain where we were to become relevant to, like, what she's talking about.
And why she felt the need to strike up a conversation with you.
And why she felt... Spoiler, it never comes. At no point is it relevant that it was raining where we were.
She just wanted to talk about, like, her weird day and was trying to find a way into it.
Right. And then she says, so we came here... And I don't even like Chinese food, like, silly shrug.
It's like, well, you're in luck. This is a Korean restaurant.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. Like, it's in the middle of Asia Town in Cleveland. I think we've talked about before, like, there's not enough of one ethnic minority in Cleveland, so just like Asia Town. Yeah. Anyways, so it's like, first of all, lady, you're in Asia Town. So if you do not like Chinese food, you're in the wrong space, like, geographically. Second of all, despite the fact that the first thing is true, you are kind of in luck because there's no Chinese restaurants into the building in which you're going. Third of all, who doesn't like Chinese food?
I don't know. I can...
Not liking Chinese food is so weird that it's like the punchline to a Seinfeld joke. Like he builds up this story, and the end of the story is, and then she said, but I don't like Chinese food. And then everyone laughs. Because that's insane. Everybody likes Chinese food.
And even if you don't like actual Chinese food, everyone at least likes bad American Chinese food.
Yeah, it's like, both versions of it are delicious. Who does... it was just such a bizarre... encounter. I just had no way to get any traction on any single element of this encounter with this woman. I just needed to talk about it to like confirm for myself that it was real.
Just to work through your feelings about it.
Yeah, seriously. What, Matt, is our fourth star?
Dave, speaking of working through feelings about things, I confronted a not a fear per se of mine, but in my life, I respect poetry, but I have kind of a concern about being near poets because I'm just worried that, like, my inability to take, like, things as seriously as they want me to take them is going to, like, get me into real, like, legitimate trouble in a conversation.
Ooh.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
I live a life that respects poetry from a distance.
Yeah. No, listen, I get it, because I majored in English. Like, I have a literature degree. I spent a lot of time, like, considering poetry. But no, I'm with you. Yeah, I get it.
And so...
You need to hang out with, like, an Ogden Nash style poet, Matt. That's who you need.
I will let you know if he and I make weekend plans.
You won't. He's been dead for years. Anyways.
So I, through work, got these like free tickets to a local Cleveland Literary Society event that was at like a jazz bar that was in a part of town that was like right around from the corner from where I live.
This doesn't sound like you're seeing at all,
No.
but continue.
Well, it doesn't, but I thought, well, here are a few things. One, I'm not a big like poetry reading guy, but I do like jazz music. I've always wanted to go into this building because I used to work across the street from it for years.
Okay.
And I knew there was going to be free dinner.
Oh, well, that's okay. Yeah, definitely go to
And I'm
that.
like, okay, well, like, so me and a coworker of mine, like, we go to this thing, and the long and short of it is that, like, I kind of went to it because I knew I was going to be able to talk about it in the 5 stars, and so I'm talking about it now. It was nice. It was actually
Nice.
It was a lot nicer than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, it was just a good example of things about which I need to get out of my own head, you know?
Yeah. Well, listen, I wanna comfort you about something, Matt, and that is, most people when they read poetry, like if you go to one of these things, it's usually people reading their own poetry. And here's the problem with that, is that writing poetry and reading poetry out loud are two totally different and largely unrelated skills. Mm-hmm. And so even if you're a great poet, you're not necessarily, and in fact you are probably very bad at reading your poetry out loud. So bad, in fact, I am not making this up, Matt. So bad, in fact, there is like a definable, this like, and I'm putting air quotes around this, Americans reading poetry like accent. And it is a voice that people do when they are reading poetry.
Really?
And it's, it is A, awful, and B, then that's just not me saying it. There was an article in the Smithsonian about this. It is objectively and scientifically awful. Like, somebody has done some study on this thing, and it's like, yeah, we're not really sure why people do it, but it is awful, and it does ruin poetry.
It was built in a lab to be unpleasant.
It's this bizarre thing. And I think it's kind of what you said. It's because people are convinced that poetry should be like very, very serious, and you're like I can't do the voice. I could probably do it if I really needed to. But yeah, it's terrible. So you're not alone, at least.
Anyway, it was very nice. One of the 3 people who read was actually very good at reading their own poetry.
Oh, see,
especially like the jazz band was like sort of like playing behind them.
Oh, well, that is an ideal version of that.
Yeah, it was very hap. I felt like a cool cat. Anyway, that was it. That was the 4-star of the week. Dave, what is our 5th and final star of the week?
So, Matt, moving about as far as is humanly possible away from like a poetry reading at a jazz club. Do you do know this because we talked about it on our daily listserv, but play along with me. Did you know that Jnco jeans still exist?
Dave, when you made me aware of this, I was so delighted.
Okay, so first of all, if you are a lot younger than us and you don't know what Jnco jeans are are they were a jean company that were like really big in the 90s.
And when you say really big, you mean...
And when I say really big, I mean both literally and figuratively. Because the whole thing about, I think they were like skater jeans was the idea. But like the whole thing about Jncos is that they were ridiculously wide-legged jeans.
I don't know if they were skater things. I don't think you could skate in a Jnco. I feel like it's too big. It would get caught up.
I think maybe originally they were just like wide leg, and then it got like a little more extreme. It is so extreme that Jnco pants include a separate measurement, which is how large is the radius of like the opening of these jeans. And it is measured in multiple feet. Okay? So here's the most amazing thing, is that just imagine imagine a bell bottom, right? But like a really large bell bottom, but that the bell starts at your waist and it just kind of goes out from there. These are tent-like jeans.
Yes.
Here is the amazing thing about Jncos. First of all, they still exist. That's the first amazing thing. The second amazing thing is Jnco designers have not updated their style guide at all.
I mean,
from like their heyday.
Listen,
they are set, like they've got a brand and they are on message for like upwards of 20 years at this point.
I feel like if you're Jnco, you know who you are selling to, and those people haven't really changed. Like
yeah,
there might be
second of all,
new people who have joined that group, but that group is still largely identical to what it looked like in the mid-90s.
So, like, just go, like, do yourself a favor and check out their website. So the next thing is that the Jnco Jeans website has 2 models. All right.
Okay.
Like, that is it. They employ 2 models. How many things am I on right now? Jnco, which I am sure started off as just, like, meaning Jean Company, like Jnco.
That is what I always assumed it meant.
Yeah, it does. According to them, what it means is judge none, choose one, which is like the most delightfully 90s slogan I can think. Like, it's just, it makes so much sense as their slogan.
I feel as though for it to really be a full 90s slogan, one of the O's in that sentence, maybe like the O in the word one, would be replaced with a yin-yang.
Ooh, that would be very, very good. I am just going to read you not all of the ad copy that I found. I just need to get this out to you. Okay,
please go for it.
Here we go. Please. Ordinary? Never. You're a standout in the crowd kind of person. Plain black and white just will not cut it. You don't follow the crowd. The crowd follows you. If you're fed up with all the plain and unexpressive clothing from modern clothing companies, look no further. Jnco is the right fit. You deserve outerwear that is as expressive as you. Appeal to match your kick-ass personality. Back in the 90s, Jnco emerged as a fun, innovative apparel brand that connected with youth all over the world with well-made, well-curated clothing built to last. More than 20 years later, Jnco continues to lead the way, no you don't, as a resident streetwear, again no, and lifestyle brand based on the same philosophy. Jnco outerwear. This part is all in bold, by the way. Jnco outerwear is all about expressing yourself. These aren't your typical run-of-the-mill hoodies, sweaters, and jackets. Made from high-quality materials with expert craftsmanship, that sounds nice, and printed locally in the U.S. Props to you, Jnco. Great job. Jnco hoodies are designed to impress. We design, manufacture outerwear with a hint of retro flair and all the modern-day comfort you require. So I'm just going to give you this last part here. At Jnco, we firmly believe you aren't just purchasing a hoodie or sweater. You're signing up to be as fun, energetic, and out there as you can be. You're choosing to express yourself and show others you're not afraid to stand out and be different. Class it up, tone it down, or turn it on. Every hoodie and blah, 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 blah.
Okay, Dave, here's the thing that I find truly horrifying about this, is they're very specific about Jnco outerwear, and I'm very worried that they also make Jnco underwear, just giant, billowy underpants.
Here's the last thing. Let's see. Join Jnco and be part of a passionate community of fans. Which, yeah, dude, if you're still wearing Jncos, you are 100% part of a passionate community. Oh, you're feeling la passion. Yeah. Last bit. You are a unique, powerful, and expressive individual. Don't be afraid to show off and push the boundaries and look good doing it. Jnco, comfortable outerwear for the chosen ones.
What?
And scene. Yeah.
Is that in quotes? So anyways, is that a registered term, Jnco, like TMTM, do not steal?
No, it's not, although I desperately wish that it was. So, yeah. So anyways, Jnco's, they're out there, and, they have a blog, and their blog does have a post entitled Gear Up for 420, which, again, I think really lets you know that, like, they know their market.
Is that the most recent blog post? Because that was a few months ago.
Yeah, I didn't get that far. I gotta admit
they have one blog post a year. It always comes out on 4/19. Get ready, guys.
I love the idea of a blog that updates literally once a year. Anyways, Matt. So that piece of internet delight is yours to savor.
Okay, so now, Dave, we are done talking about that bit of 90s nostalgia. Let's move into talking about a different piece of 90s nostalgia. Episode 27 of Chouriki Sentai Ohranger, King's Gallant debut. We're going to talk about it right after this. Okay, so there's a lot in this episode, dude.
Okay, so dang, that was an episode, dude.
Yeah, it certainly was. So as you may recall from last week, this is picking up from a cliffhanger. Do you want Dave to remind the good people where we were at the end of last week's episode?
Yeah, sure. So it was, we have this guy, Riki, is like, he is a guy, he's like this 14-year-old kid, Riki, and Doran, who have come from the pre-ancient civilization, and they have arrived like back on Earth from the timeless dimension where they were like in stasis. And we found out last episode why Bacchus Wrath is back to Earth. He is the last of a race, I guess, of sentient robots that arose and like rebelled against this pre-ancient civilization and like lost a civil war. And he was the only survivor. He escaped, went to Baranoia, built a planet, and has spent the intervening 600 million years waging like a galactic quest for revenge against the humans. So only now has he arrived back on Earth. They were put in stasis to kind of sort of deal with this exact problem. And so they're back, Doran and Riki are, to sort of help the Rangers. And Riki is going to become, it pretty obviously telegraphed, he is our sixth Ranger. He's it, but we don't know what's up with him.
Yes.
He's the Gold Ranger. He's not the Gold Ranger. You know what I'm saying.
So at the end of last week's episode, we had Yuji, Juri, and Momo, who were trying to protect Doran, who is this little girl, and doing a very bad job, versus this monster called Goblin, who is being controlled by a sort of evil zookeeper / ringmaster named Karis. And then Goro and Shohei had found Riki, and all three of them were trying to get back to where the others were to like save the day. And that is sort of where we pick up here.
Yeah. So the fight that is happening is between the Rangers and Goblin, who is a weirdly like organic looking machine beast. Like he does not look mechanical really at all.
Yeah, well,
which is a little bit weird.
We saw last week that Karis is the person in charge of like the Baranoia Royal Zoological Society and like bestiary.
Yeah.
And so, like, this dude is a machine beast. Like, there's some robot stuff on him, but I wonder if we are moving into a part of the show where the monsters are going to be, like, half robot, half animal.
Maybe that would be cool. So anyways, so this is, so that's kind of, we're leading in from last week's cliffhanger, and then it's actually going to be another cliffhanger at the end of this week. This is a big 3-parter, which is actually pretty standard. They do this a lot, sort of around this point in every season. There's like a big...
Yeah, especially when new characters are being introduced. Like, it's a big push. They want to make sure that everybody knows about the story of Riki.
Yeah.
By the way, the story of Riki, which is the thing that I keep thinking about now that there's a character named Riki in this show, is a movie that I have never seen.
That movie is... Yeah.
But if you are also somewhere between the ages of probably like 31 and 35, and remember the first season of The Daily Show back when it was hosted by Craig Kilborn, all of the interstitials in that show, like as they were moving from like one segment to another, used footage from that movie with him like punching down walls and blowing up people's heads with his fists. And so I just keep wanting to talk about the story of Riki, a movie I have never seen, instead of talking about this TV show, which I literally just watched.
Listen, in your defense, Matt, the story of Riki is incredible. And, hey, Matt, just so you know, it is on YouTube in its entirety.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. So, anyways... Just felt like I had to check that out. So anyways, so this fight is happening. Karis the Zookeeper is there, and Goblin does manage to, he sort of like knock the Rangers out of commission, at least. Like they're staggered. He does manage to get his hands on Doran, and he And he's got some sort of, like, I can't quite tell. It looks like he's got some sort of medallion or something in his mouth, like back in his throat, that he's using to, like, blast energy bolts. And then she screams for Ricky. Ricky arrives and, like straight up crushes Baragon.
Yeah, Ricky immediately goes so hard.
Nuts.
Like, I hesitate to say that Ricky is done messing around, because Ricky never began to mess around. Ricky, at no point in his young life, has ever learned how to mess around. He only knows how to murder machine beasts. That is his entire
it's incredible.
existence.
Yeah, he goes so hard that he turns into, like, an anime blur. Like, you don't even see him attack. You just see, like, a black animated energy bolt, like, fly, and that is Ricky, and he flies at Baragoblin and just does, like, 100 kicks and then, like, bounces all around and then saves Doran. And then they appear up on the top of this hill, and he's like, I know what you guys thought was about to happen. If you thought you were going to hurt Doran, it's not happening.
Yeah, like,
never. I have waited 600 million years. I have traveled 600 million years through time to beat your ass again.
Yeah, like, it's incredible. Did you somehow forget who I am? This is Ricky talking. It is time for business.
Which is so amazing. Like, and actually, I want to give this kid props, because he's like 14 years old, and I feel like it would be very hard for a 14-year-old to sell those lines. But he does a pretty good job.
Yeah, when I first heard that this show had another, like, teen who turned into a one of the Rangers, I thought that we were going to have a redo of, like, a Ko situation like we had in Die Ranger.
Oh, I'm really glad that we did.
And, like, listen, I came around on Ko. There's a lot to like about Ko. But, like, Ricky is a whole other story.
Yeah, Ricky rules. So, Kara said, she's like, I will send you both to hell, which, again, is a heavy thing to lay on a kid. And Ricky, this is amazing. So, Karis is there, Baragoblin is there. Ricky ignores both of them and just, like, calls out Bacchus Wrath directly. He's like, Bacchus Wrath, like, let's see what you got. Like, I already beat you once. Like, come on, dude. Like, let's do this. It's incredible. I feel like this show is very rapidly going to become, like, a Ricky appreciation fan cast.
So now he henshins. I mean, he has basically the same sort of, like, power brace that the other O'Rangers do.
Yeah, it's literally identical. The only thing I could come up with there, Matt, is that either, I think it's a combination of two things. Here's my headcanon for this. Ready? So obviously we know that the Chief is building a lot of his stuff based on ancient civilization technology.
Yes.
Yeah, so, and because he's doing that, like, he's trying to achieve this Ranger henshin effect, right? So my assumption is, like, he clearly knows who Ricky is, right? Because he says, like, oh, that's the symbol of Ricky, like when we saw the last episode. So my assumption is that there were like enough clues about how Ricky's, like, power bracer, about how Ricky's power brace works, that he literally just was like, oh, that will do the thing.
I'll just do that again.
Like, I'll just do those again. That seems to be working. So that's my explanation as to why.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, when he transforms, though, Ricky has a slightly different look than the rest of the Rangers, and I really dig it.
Yeah, it is really cool. Well, he's the 6th Ranger, so he's a very fancy boy.
Right. So the way that he looks, and again, if you've ever seen Power Rangers Zeo, this is the Gold Ranger uniform. But the basic, like, color blocks and outline of this uniform are very similar to the other O-Rangers, right? Like, he has sort of, like, it's mostly black, and then he's got a lot of, like, gold highlights, sort of in the same places that the O-Rangers do, except that the O-Rangers, their uniforms are, like, a lot more, like, slick and streamlined, and, like, the gold stuff is mostly, like, design work on their costume, whereas with Ricky, all of that stuff is, like, extra armor that he's wearing on top of his black uniform. So it really does give you this sense of, like, oh yeah, this is, like, the prototype of the O-Ranger suit that they have then gone on to, like, streamline and modernize, but, like, it's basically the same idea.
Yeah, so he's, and then he doesn't have just, like, a regular shape for his visor. He's got his own, like the symbol of Riki, which is really cool.
Right, which again, I'm pretty sure is the kanji for king, which is also cool because it's basically, it is one vertical line with 3 horizontal lines sort of like cutting across it in regular intervals, which means that if you look at it, it's like 6 sort of distinct prongs coming off of this thing, which is cool.
Matt, yes, you are correct.
Okay, which is cool because, you know, the rest of the Rangers' shapes on their masks, like one, it's like a numbers thing, right? Like Momo has one thing that's like a round circle. Then there's the
oh, dude, I did not notice that, but you're totally correct.
yeah,
That's
and like
awesome.
Jury has like 2 things on it, and like the 2 ovals. Then Yuji has the triangle, which is 3 sides, and then Shohei has the square, and then Goro has like the 5-pointed star. And now he's got this sort of like, you know, 6. You know, it's a shape with 6 terminals. It's a very good, very cool design that works very well with the other ones, but also sets him aside from them.
Yeah, it works on multiple levels. Very cool.
And now at this point, he just proceeds to like beat the ever living crap out of a pile of Barra soldiers. It's extremely good.
Yeah, the fight sequence is really good. First of all, the other Rangers are really impressed. They're like, wow, this guy is really he's really taking it to him.
Oh yeah, they're not involved in the
fight.
fight at this point. They're just watching Riki just demolish these things.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out like what his fighting style is, because everybody's got their own little style, and as near as I can figure, Ricky's fighting. Oh, and sorry, he's the King Ranger. Yes. I don't think we said that explicitly, but that is he's King Ranger. So King Ranger's fighting style, as far as I can tell, is Bruce Lee. Like, there's like a lot of like punches and kicks, and then he does like Bruce Lee's finishing moves.
There's also a lot of wire work when he's doing it. There's one moment.
Oh yeah, he does a rad like super long distance flying kick.
It's so good because he's on wires when they have that flying kick come in, and then the Barra soldier that he hits is also on wires. So as soon as he gets hit, that dude just like flies 30 feet away and smashes into a wall and explodes.
Yeah, it's rad. We do get a quick thing of Empress Hysteria, and she's like, "What is going on with this dude?" Which it was a little moment, but I love because, of course, she post-dates Riki. Like, the only person in the Baranoia Empire who knows what's up with Riki is Bacchus Wrath.
Yeah, and for some reason, it seems like he has been working on a side plan with Karis in case this happened. So she knows what's up, but he does.
Yeah.
He did definitely say in the last episode that he was the only survivor.
So the fight's going down. Bara Goblin actually kind of gets back into it. He gets a few licks in on Riki. Riki is staggered for a second, and they're like, "Oh yeah," Kara says. She says like, "That's it, Riki. Like, no, you're gonna die." And he says, "Do you really think that's all No." And he summons his weapon, which is called the King Stick,
which should be called a scepter, right?
What it is, Matt, is it's a rod of lordly might. Like, that's what that thing is.
It's just I don't know if you remember, there's a Paul F. Tompkins bit where he used to work in a hat shop and someone walked in and asked to try on a king hat, and he's like, "That is a crown. There's a name for that." And I feel like a king stick is like, dude, we have a word for this.
Sorry. A rod of lordly might is a thing from D&D. It's just like a rod with like a bunch of buttons on it, and it can turn into like an axe or a sword or a mace or a bunch of other things. Because like the king stick kind of transforms and does a number of different things.
Yeah.
So, during this whole fight, we haven't mentioned yet, there's a ton of like super rad guitar licks. Like someone is just going ham in the background. So the king stick, he like runs, he does like an anime dance through a bunch of bar soldiers, and then they all get struck by lightning like after him, which is really neat.
Golden lightning.
And yeah, golden lightning. And then he like throws it at Bara Goblin, and then there's more lightning. It's a very cool weapon.
Yeah. Eventually, he just like straight up kills Bara Goblin with this thing. Like the tip of it opens up, and it shoots out a bunch of like glowing energy spheres, and I think it's called King Flash, right? King Victory Flash.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. So that dude blows up. Karis is very sad about this, sends Acha and Kocha in to make Bara Goblin grow. And now at this point it's cool because Like, that is a trick that Bacchus Wrath has apparently learned in the last 600 million years. So Ricky is caught off guard, at which point Goro, who I'm sure at this point is feeling kind of like, oh man, like I was the cool dude, and now there's like this 14-year-old kid who's way better than me.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, no, like, no, it's my time to shine. Like, let's summon these robots. We can handle this.
So he does. So they summon the robots, and Riki is really impressed. He's like, whoa. It's like, those are, and he's right. He's like, those robots are amazing.
Yeah, and again, like, imagine this series from Ricky's perspective. You know, he woke up after 600 million years in this, like, weird future, and all of a sudden, his thing that used to just be, like, him transforming and punching a dude, like, punching robots until they blew up, has turned into a world where those monsters turn into giants, and also there are giant robots that can fight them. Like, that's gotta be a bit where he really needs to take a moment to sink it all in.
Yeah, it's very cool. Now, unfortunately, he is not impressed for a really long time because, like, just as the Rangers could not really beat human-sized Baragoblin, Orobo can't really beat giant Baragoblin. Like, Baragoblin is, like, whooping up on Orobo.
Yeah, he's kind of a bland monster, but he is very tough. So while he has both Ohranger Robo and Red Puncher sort of stunned, Karis yells at Baragoblin like, hey, now that you have a second, please step on King Ranger and just kill him once and for all.
Like, could we just do this? It does not work.
No, because Ricky has methods of his own.
Yeah, oh my gosh, this is so good. So he, like, holds up the king stick. Yeah. So he just holds up his king stick and, like, an energy beam, like, shoots out of it. And then the pyramid from before, like, disappears. I think it, like, teleports from where it was, and it teleports to where he is. And it seems to have gotten way, way larger in the intervening period. And what is it, like, is there had been, like, a very sleek sort of glass exterior on this pyramid, and that disappears, and what we find out is that this is not so much as a spaceship as much as it is a spacefaring battle tank.
Yeah, he calls it the ultimate fortress, King Parameter.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's a tank the size of a building, basically. It's a tank the size of a mountain.
Now, I am hoping that we do at some point get, like, a humanoid form of King Parameter, but it's probably like the Carrier Zord, isn't it? Like, they're going to figure out how to merge and, like, they're going to stand on top of it or something, probably.
Well, we will have to wait and find out in a later episode. Or rather, you will have to wait and find out.
I was going to say, you already watched it, didn't you? Yeah. So, he like, it does some attacks, and then it does this super cool attack, which just shoots a beam of lightning into the sky, and that beam kind of returns down to the ground as, like, a literal wave of lightning. It's incredible. So that's the end of Baragoblin. Like, that's it.
It's called the Super Burn Wave, and Baragoblin was not prepared for it. Karis also is like, oh no, like, I feel as though she genuinely thought this was going to work, or at least she is doing a good job of making it seem as though she genuinely thought she was going to win this fight.
Yeah, so he pops out of King Pyramid, and he rescues Doran, and I can't tell, because he runs over and, like, lifts her up and spins her around, and he could just be very happy to see her, but the music that they're playing seems to make it want to feel like it's, like, a romantic thing between them, which, like, she's probably, like, 12 and he's, like, 14, so, like, whatever. But I just can't, like, I'm not sure what they're trying to do with it yet, except that they have a very special relationship. So we go up to the moon, and what we find out is they say, okay, well, we have an image of King Ranger now, so, like, we're good.
Yeah, and I don't know, what happens next is a little difficult to follow. So, King Ranger turns to Karis and says, like, hey, you didn't really stand much of a chance before I showed up, but now that I'm here, there's no way the Baranoia Empire will ever win. Like, like, it's game over for you guys. It's me plus the O'Rangers. Right. Karis then gets the word like, okay, we have an image of him now, so you can like move on with the next stage in the plan. I don't know what getting an image of him means or what the significance of it is. But what this triggers is for Karis to move to the next stage of the plan, which is to turn into a weird, kinky monster.
Yes. So she turns into, again, like, she doesn't look very mechanical, but she is, she's curvaceous. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And she is wearing what I would cautiously describe as, like, some bondage leathers?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a combination of, like, bright red latex and some sort of bondage harness.
Yeah. So there's a very uncomfortable moment where a person in a big latex suit, like, sort of feels up its own chestal voluptuance. That's not a word, but you understand, just sort of, and then we kind of get a close-up shot of her posterior, and she sort of twerks that for us.
Then she does shoot lightning lasers out of her boobs.
Yes. And I don't, like, Matt is not exaggerating. There's, like, it is directly out of her, like, nipple area.
There is no
They're
ambiguity
covered.
about this.
There's, just lightning bolts. Yeah.
I mean, listen, here's one thing you can say about it. It's a look. Like, they knew it.
Yeah, it is certainly a
they
look.
They knew what they were going for, and they succeeded in what they were going for. You can have a conversation about whether or not they should have been going for that in this particular children's show, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah, man. So what she then does is that she shoots like a sheet,
like a bed sheet,
out of
basically.
her navel, like a bed sheet, basically out of her navel, and uses that to capture Ricky, and sucks him into her navel again. And then she shoots at another barrier to, like, cover her escape, and she disappears.
Now, there is one thing that happens in here that I want to make sure we notice, is when Ricky is wrapped up in the bedsheet and trying to get free, Paku, the terrible lizard puppet from last episode, he pops up, and he is also trying to, like, bite through this, like, sheet to get him free. So that when Ricky gets sucked into, like, the weird interdimensional space inside Karis's monster navel, Paku also goes in with him.
Yes.
I know there was a lot going on in that sentence just now, but let's just roll with it.
Yeah, man, okay, if you can, like, I know you run the Twitter, you really should, like, tweet out a picture of, like, the character design for Karis, just for, like, the people who don't watch the show, because it's pretty bonkers, and I just feel like you need to see it to understand what's happening here. Anyways, so she shoots out, like we said, she shoots out another barrier to, like, cover her own escape, and then that kind of captures the Rangers briefly, and then they get out of it, but then it explodes. And then we get a quick shot of Ricky, and he seems to be in just, like, another dimension. It's not really clear. But he wakes up, and he's in the zoo. He's in the zoo on the moon.
Yeah, and
which in another scenario I feel like would be a really cool place to be, but for him it's not working out really well.
Right. Karis is there, and she is about to kill him. But Bacchus Wrath walks up, is like, hold on a second. Like, I did not go through all of this trouble just to kill this dude. I have a whole other plan that we are all going to get on board with.
Yeah, like there is just a whole big thing that we are about to do. So, we go back to the base, and Doran is in there, and she obviously is really bummed out about Ricky, and Momo's like, cheer up, like, we're going to solve this, we'll figure out what's going on. We do get a shot again of Ricky sort of like floating through darkness, and then he's surrounded by butterflies. And I don't think we've ever mentioned this before, but every time Karis shows up, she is preceded by, like, spectral animated butterflies. And so we see the butterflies now, we're like, oh, there's something going on with Karis. Like, it's a pretty cool piece of foreshadowing / like visual signaling that they've built into the episode. So we go from there, and we just see this little girl who we've never seen before. She's riding home on a bike in the dark. There's something in the shadows. We don't see what. But there's a short scene of her sort of like, she's walking and she like turns around. And she's like, oh, it must be fine. And then she keeps walking. And she hears something. She turns around. Oh, no, what is it? And she is eventually attacked by a monster.
Yeah. It is, she is like abducted. And then the next day we cut to the headquarters. And they are getting a report of basically the exact same thing happening again. And they're like, okay, well, let's run out and like try to like stop this from happening. We are superheroes. This is a monster. Let's roll.
Yeah, like this is what we do. So so like what we see is them kind of they're rolling around, they're trying to figure out what's going on. There is they roll up just as another girl is about to get attacked, and it is obviously like it is a machine beast. It is the machine beast Bara King.
Yeah, but what is cool is when they arrive, the way that the camera is situated in this scene is that we are blocked from seeing what is happening. Because, like, we see the girl being menaced, but the monster is actually sort of, like, hidden behind a pillar. And then, sort of, for the rest of this fight, every time the camera would otherwise be showing the monster, there's something in the way of the camera.
Yeah.
And I mean, listen, I think at this point we kind of know what's happening because we've seen like a few glimpses of like the color scheme on this thing. And eventually they are confronted with Bara King.
Yes.
And Bara King is like a sort of a monster version of King Ranger.
So it is it's sort of like it kind of looks like a dinosaur vibe. Like it's got some like sort of weird reptilian thing going on. It's got sort of like a long neck.
Yeah, its neck is too long. It's got sort of like a 1/2 wing thing happening. It's kind of a cool looking monster. It's, it's not like an iconic look or anything, but it's neat. And they are like, oh, wait a second. Bara King, and they just look at it for literally 1 second. They're like, oh, King Ranger. Okay, this is a bad thing that's happening right now.
Yeah. So what we find, this is what Kara says at least, like, she says, we stole Ricky at like the moment where he was about to die. And we basically RoboCopped him into an evil monster. So, like, he's effectively dead. There's nothing you can do to save him. He's just, like, running on evil machine instinct right now.
Right. He will never return to his previous state, and now he's going to kill you.
Yeah. So, they fight, and it looks like she's right. Like, Bara King is super tough.
Yeah, and so he beats them up, and then sort of as they are beginning to like try to get together to put up some sort of counterattack, he just disappears. They radio into headquarters and tell the chief, like, hey, bad news. You know that 600 million year old boy warrior, the one with the unstoppable battle tank? Turns out he's an evil monster now.
Yeah, so Chief looks back at Doran. She can't believe it. She runs out of the room, and then the next scene we see is that she is just running through the fields. Which, like, we've already established that base is pretty large. So it just means she did, like, a sad cry run through, like, 14 layers of highly secured military base and just out the front door, and nobody stopped her. Until she eventually gets to an open field, and she just kind of cries. We see some butterflies.
In the foreground.
Running. In the foreground, yeah. Nice sync there, Matt. And then she just sort of yells into the sky like, Ricky, no! And then that's it. That's the end of our episode.
Dude, this rules. I love this.
Yeah, this was a very, very, very good episode.
And that's the end of that episode, Dave. But now that Barrett Goblin is dead, we can now put him on the Creature Royale.
Yeah, so,
I mean, he sucks, right?
I was gonna say, but, like, okay, he doesn't suck. He's got kind of a fun look. But he doesn't have like literally anything else. Like, he's not interesting. He is not like, he doesn't have like a hook. He's literally just like a big tough dude who fights them. So
he's the bad version of, who was that guy in Jetman who like was a caterpillar and then he was like a big red demon man that looked like he was wearing the armor from Bram Stoker's Dracula? Semimaru. He's like a crummy version of Semimaru.
Yeah, so actually, where does Semimaru...
Because he is similarly, like, he is strong, he is unusual, he is kind of bland, but they have to, like, do something new to beat him. Semimaru is at number 95.
95, yeah. I'm actually looking, like... Where I'm looking is Thunder.
Okay, yeah.
Actually.
I think Thunder is another, like, roughly equivalent monster.
Right, so Thunder's at 106, and I'm actually looking... down below. Like, I'm actually looking even lower than that. I think I like him better. I definitely like him better than Baramadillo.
Baramadillo. What number is he at?
115. But then, like, right above that is Sergeant Cannon, Funeral Figurine Ventriloquist, who, like, obviously they're low on the list for a good reason, but they had something going on. Whereas Goblin is, like, literally just kind of there.
Okay, well, what's under Baramadillo?
Bara Baby, then down into Adhesive Cockroach, Vending Machine Dimension, who I hate, Bara Saucer, Mirror Dimension, and then, like, the Dumb Umbrella Monsters, Noparabaro, the Immortal Frankenstein, from Ohranger, Bara Drill, and then we're down into the ones that, like,
I think
we actively hate.
I think we're past it. I think he is worse than Bara Baby. And he might... I think he's either better or worse than Adhesive Cockroach.
I'm going to take back what I said a minute ago. I think he's actually worse than Adhesive Cockroach.
Okay. Do we want to put him between... Actually, I think he's probably worse than Vending Machine Dimension.
No, I actively loathe Vending Machine Dimension.
I kind of like Vending Machine Dimension. He's very dumb, but he's also memorable. Whereas this is a guy who, in 5 episodes, when I look at the list, I'm going to say, who was Goblin? Okay.
I can get behind you there. So, better than Bara Saucer?
Yeah, better than Bara Saucer. Bara Saucer is another just, like, nothing pile.
Yeah. Okay, so Bara Goblin comes in at the new spot number 119.
Okay, and then...
And that, Matt, is, I think, going to do it for
Yes,
us.
Dave, that is going to do it for another episode of For Your Eyes, Ohranger. Before we finish up here, I'd like to remind you all that you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com. If you want to get any updates on future episodes or check out the things that we're talking about on Twitter, we are at Super Sentai Bros. If you like the show, please remember that shining in the iTunes review section, there are 5 stars. Please rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you find the show. Positive reviews and so forth help other people find the show, and that is very nice. Speaking of other nice shows, the Super Sentai Brothers are a production of Retrograde Orbit Radio, and to find the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows, you can do so at retrogradeorbitradio.com. Once again, we are the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth.